So we're being joined right now by Roy Brown with the Conservatives concerned about the death penalty. Roy, thanks for joining me today. I appreciate your time with me.
Well, thank you very much for having us on.
All right, so what are you concerned about, Roy?
Well, we're concerned about the government in the job of executing people, and they don't do a very good job with health care, so I don't know why they do any better with that. But at the same time, when you look at the cost involved with the capital punishment case, it's up to 10 times more expensive than life without the possibility of parole. So on a fiscal basis, we need to get rid of the death penalty and start doing things in a fiscally responsible way.
So in your mind or with studies I'm sure you've done or looked at, that you're saying that it doesn't work, it's not a deterrent?
It's absolutely not a deterrent. All you have to do is look at Texas, where they have the most executions of any place else in the United States. And it doesn't deter crime at all. They still have just the same number of murders they've always had.
But what do you do with this issue like we have in California? We have judges, activist judges coming in saying, you can't have 4 guys to a cell because that's cruel and unusual punishment. And here we have people that are being put to death for killing maybe 3, 4, 5 people, maybe 1. I don't know. But how do you get a handle on that?
Well, it's just simple economics. You cannot spend all this money on a capital punishment case and justify it with the system that we have. So that's what we're fighting for in legislation, to change the death penalty to life without the possibility of parole.
But and you're. I'm just trying to get my mind around this, because some listeners are going to be the same thing. So you're saying it costs so much more to put somebody to death,
Absolutely.
But isn't part of that because of how many appeals that we allow and how long? We have people in California who've been on death row 20 and 25 years after they've admitted to committing the crimes.
Well, that's correct, but they're in a capital case. They have two trials, one for the crime and then the other for the punishment.
Right.
And so the cost is huge for each one of those, and then the appeals go on forever and ever, too. So it's just part of our Constitution. We have a special provision for capital cases because it's life or death. And, sometimes they make mistakes.
But again, for the guy that says, I murdered the family, and if you let me out, I'm going to do it again.
Well, I don't want to let him out. I want to put him in there with life without the possibility of parole. To your opening point, the same government that would want to manage health care is going to manage keeping somebody in for life. Look at Michael Dukakis. He let out a killer on furlough. Well, and he shouldn't have done that.
But he's the government.
Yes, I know. But at the same time, we do make mistakes. I was doing some legislation in Montana. That's where I'm from. I was a majority leader, and I was talking on this very issue. And I was trying to remember a quote that I had, and so I looked on Google, and I Googled my name, and I Googled the death penalty, and what came up was, after 15 years in prison, Roy Brown, which is my name, has been released because of DNA evidence, and he was the 8th person in the last 13 months in New York that was released because of DNA evidence. So it kind of strikes you between the eyes that they do make mistakes.
Oh, look at no question about it. And the ones that are really fighting for their freedom based on certain things, I would not have a problem with commuting their sentences to life without the possibility of parole. But again, back to the ones who have said, I did it, the Charlie Mansons of the world. I don't want to see that guy get out. Even after he dies, I'd be afraid he'd come back to life or something.
And I don't want to see the appeals that go on for 30 years either. And that's where the families and the victims come involved too, because most of the people that I hear testify that went through a capital case are if they had the choice, they never would have done it, because those families get drawn through these appeals for 30 years, and they relive the whole problem again and again.
Agreed, but isn't that government overstepping again?
Well, I think it's government overstepping when they get into the business of killing people.
Okay, fair enough.
All right.
I think this is one of those issues that if you're saying life in prison, and we've got to watch over them for life, and we've got to make sure they don't get back out, and that some law doesn't change somewhere down the road that may eventually release them. That would be scary for me.
Well,
and I'm the average Joe.
At the same time, do we want to spend an extra $1 million or
No.
$2 million?
I would give them 3 appeals and that's it.
Well,
Thank God I'm not God or the government, because
I thank God I'm not God or the government
at
either,
some
but-
point in time, though, these appeals become ridiculous.
Well, they do.
But
they still have the opportunity to do it with our system, and so I don't see that we're going to change the system. So I think we just need to stop all the spending.
Well, you haven't convinced me. Sorry, but you do bring up a good point. The government does make mistakes.
Yeah.
Before we do anything like this, I don't care if it's an injection or electric chair, whatever it is that we're doing. I think you better be darn sure that you know you've got the right guy. And if you have to take a DNA out of every one of those guys, and there's a question, and they don't go to death, they don't go to the electric chair. If there's any question whatsoever, if there's no question whatsoever, then they go.
But there's only DNA evidence in about 15% of the capital cases. So, you can't always be absolutely certain.
Well, Roy, thank you so
All
much.
right, well,
How do
thanks.
people find out more information about your organization?
Well, if you go to our website, and it's if we can read it here,
Yeah, both of us, right?
conservativesconcerned.org.
Conservative Concerned, and we'll put that up on our website later today too,
thank
so
you
people
very
can
much.
find it.
I
Not
really
a problem.
appreciate it. All
Yeah.
the best.
I don't have to agree with you to give you the respect to say that
that's
people
okay.
people need to listen.
We'll work on you for a while. I only had 5 minutes here. Maybe if I had a half an hour, I might be able
come
to
from
get that.
Forgive me for saying it this way, but I come from a Sicilian background. You steal one toilet seat, it's over. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing.
Hey,
Anyway,
thanks a million.
Roy, thanks for being with
All
me
right,
today.
take care.